So I'm going to dive straight in. And today's talk, I really wanted to focus it around how you personally can work more intuitively. And you might have no idea what working intuitively means. It's kind of like a made up concept, but hopefully at the end of this talk, you will know what it means. But the gist of it is, how can you manage your time more effectively and efficiently so you're optimizing productivity in a way that feels natural to you and it feels comfortable, and you're not pushing yourself to the limit and you're not going into burnout, because whether you're running your own business or you work 9 to 5, or you've got a mixture of all those two things, it is really important that we work really productively, but it's also really important that we take care of ourselves. So it's a way of finding kind of like that work-life balance integration that everyone kind of wants to go through. So without further ado, so a little bit about me in case you don't know who I am. I'm Jess. I am a founder turned coach. I have 3 businesses of my own, although in 2022 I'm simplifying that. I only going to have one towards the end. But I have a healthy ice cream business. I also help small businesses get into the Kickstart scheme, which is a government funded program. And I'm also a business coach through Moxie Club. And we also do events and training. So lots and lots going on. So hopefully that gives you an indication as to why I know about productivity, because running 3 businesses, doing speaking gigs on the side and freelancing as well on the side, all around helping small businesses, does mean I need to be very efficient with my time. And if you would like to connect, I'm on jess.salamanca on Instagram, and I share lots of tips there as well if you want to learn more about the things I'm going to be covering today. But straight into it, how to achieve more in life. That's kind of like the gist of it. That's kind of like the main thing that I wanted to cover. And something that I've realized in the past 8 years working with small businesses, but also in the last 3 years where I've been running my own businesses, is that we tend to focus a lot on our own motivation when it comes to getting stuff done. So normally we have a big peak of motivation at the beginning of the year and everyone's setting their resolutions like, yeah, 2022 is going to be my year and all of that. But we all know 3 weeks later, we're like, oh yeah, I can't be bothered. My motivation's gone down. It's January, it's cold, it's raining, can't be bothered anymore. So the thing that I found the most, I guess, enlightening and empowering is to realize that motivation is great, but in order to really achieve the results that we want, we need to combine discipline and working intuitively into that. So brilliant when you're motivated, it comes naturally. But when it doesn't and you're feeling a little bit low or you just can't be bothered, that's when discipline and working intuitively comes in really handy. Because as you can see, motivation really fluctuates. So your results are not going to be as great. But if you start putting these elements in, your results should really scale and go to the next level. And again, this applies to both whether you have your own business, whether you have a career, or even if you're a stay-at-home mom or dad and you just want to get more out of life personally, that this all applies to that. So this talk, I'm going to do it into 2 different, groups. So I'm going to be talking first about working intuitively and then about discipline. So what on earth is working intuitively? I'm sure some of you will be asking that. So it's based on 2 key principles. One of them is that you are the expert. You know yourself better than anyone. You can't read a book that tells you how Oprah and Obama and Tim Ferriss and all of these great people do their own lives and how they manage their own lives, because that's great for them, but it may not work for you. And it's also based on the principle that you are in control. You can make your decision as to how and when you work. And I'm very aware that this might be a little bit more restrictive if you work in a traditional 9 to 5, and it will depend on flexi hours and how your bosses work with you. But just as a framework, this is what it's based on. And it's all around listening to your mind and your body. So a lot of the advice that we get online these days is, here's kind of like a blueprint about how to improve your productivity. This is how you get more out of life. This is how you're meant to be doing. Like if you follow these 5 steps, that's it. That's all you need to do. That's a secret. But actually there is no secret. And I really, really do believe it is all around you and listening to yourself and knowing yourself better. It's about letting go of those social norms. And I'll go into some examples in a minute. But for example, you know, the 5 a.m. club, everyone's heard about it. Everyone knows or has been told that if you wake up early, you're going to achieve more. And that is great. And it really works for some people, but it doesn't work for everyone. And that's really why I say it's all around knowing you and yourself, rather than listening to external advice all the time. So here are some examples, and hopefully this will start becoming more, will make more sense once you hear these examples. So we all know working 9 to 5, that's kind of like the average. That's what we're meant to do. We work 9 to 5. If you wake up early, that's the secret to success. That's so many books out there telling you wake up early and you'll achieve everything you want in life. Evenings are for socializing and switching off, which is great. And it makes sense in a world that's traditionally shaped around 9 to 5, but really start questioning, why on earth are evenings for socializing? Like why can't mornings be for socializing? Why do I have to switch off in the evening? Why can't I switch off at lunchtime because I don't like working 8 hours straight? So this is all about questioning these social norms and limiting beliefs that we've been kind of like, it's been pounded into us for years and years. Another one that I find really funny is people who work last minute. Deadlines are irresponsible. We've all heard it. We've all had the person that used to do an all-nighter before their exams or essay deadlines at uni, and we thought about them as irresponsible, but then sometimes they got, you know, the best grade in class. And my personal favorite, because I'm Spanish, naps are for lazy people. This is quite ingrained. It's a little bit less of a social norm in Spain, obviously, but I've heard it a lot in the UK, where if you take a nap in the middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday, you're being lazy. And all of these kind of like norms and limiting beliefs we have been told for years and years and been very much ingrained and part of our day to day. But actually, when you start questioning them, you do start realizing that they don't actually make sense. Like there's just a social construct. And to give you a bit of putting a little bit of color into this, I'll show you some of my personal ones. And again, these apply to me. They may not apply to you at all, but just to give you a bit of an example. So I personally struggle to focus in the mornings. I've read every book under the sun about how you should become a morning person and how your morning ritual routine and reading and having tea and stretching, meditating in the morning is literally the key to success. Just as really does not work for me. I've tried. I've set the alarms. I have the light alarm thing that brights up your room in order to wake you up. And I've gone onto the sofa and tried to meditate or journal, and I've literally fallen asleep. Like it just does not work for me personally. I'm actually more creative, focused, and productive in the evenings. I don't know if it's because I'm technically a night owl, if it's because of my Spanish roots, where we do go to bed later in the evenings. I don't know what it is, but I just have that kind of like inspiration at night when most people are either going to sleep, they're chilling out, watching TV, or they're socializing and having drinks with their friends. I like working against deadlines. I actually thrive when I have a deadline and when there's messy and chaos around me and like, oh shit, we have to change something and now all of a sudden we need to get this done by tomorrow. I thrive there. I do my best work when I'm under pressure. If I have all the time in the world and I have something coming up in, I don't know, a week's time, I will fill that time. This task is going to take me a whole week to do. Whereas if the deadline is tomorrow, I'm going to get it done just as good, if not better, because I thrive under pressure. And loads of people would think like that's crazy, irresponsible, but that's how it works for me. And yeah, if I feel tired during the day, this is probably the one that I practice the least actually in theory, in practice. But if I have a day where I'm feeling tired and after lunch, I just don't feel that motivated to go back to work, I take a 30-minute nap. Nothing wrong with that. And again, 9 till 5 corporate world would say, what on earth are you doing? But it works for me. And then I wake up and I'm more energized afterwards. So these are my personal ones. And here are 8 questions to really help you think about these things and how they relate to you. I think Elena is recording everything and probably will share the slides, so don't worry about writing all of this down, feel free to take a screenshot. But I would love for all of you to really spend a little bit of time thinking about these questions and how they relate to you. So are you naturally more of a morning person or a night owl? How do you feel about deadlines? Like, do you like them? Does that pressure really motivate you, or do you feel like, oh my god, they're horrible, I'd much rather get everything done a week before? When do you feel most energized? And also importantly, where do you feel most productive? I know loads of people that really do great work working from home, but other people struggle working from home because they start doing laundry and tidying up and the kitchen is a mess, and they much rather go to a coffee shop and get everything done, whereas other people hate working in a coffee shop. And my personal favorite actually is, what was your studying routine when you were at school or university? What made you the most productive then? Because I feel like at university we didn't have these social norms and limiting beliefs and kind of like restrictions as to when and how we should study. We kind of just had a library that was open 24/7, and you went out whatever time and you did things at your own pace. So really kind of like think back to like school and uni, especially if those were years where you did quite well. I know not everyone enjoyed those years, but what was your routine back then? And start thinking about and questioning whether you can bring some of those elements back into today. And another one of my favorite ones is if it was up to me, because I speak a lot about this with my coaching clients, and I hear them a lot say, well, if it was up to me, I would take Wednesdays off and actually work on a Saturday because I feel better that way, because Wednesdays are a good break in the middle of the week and Saturdays are quiet because there's no emails and calls and meetings, and actually get a lot of work done in that silence. And especially because this person was a business owner, I'm like, well, why aren't you doing that? If you think you can get more done, why are you forcing yourself to work against what comes naturally to you? It doesn't really make any sense when you start really thinking about it and letting go of these kind of like norms, Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. Like, why on earth are you not doing what you naturally think is best? So I would really, really love for, if you take one thing out of my talk today, is to just really go through these questions and think about them, journal about them, whatever works best for you, and try to find out what is the most natural work routine for you. And just to put it into practice really quickly, just experiment with different routines and write down how it kind of like works for you. Try to establish them into healthy routines and habits, because that's really how you kind of like integrate them to your daily life. There's no point in doing it once in a while, so that's not going to have a big impact, but trying to establish them into healthy routines and habits that you can kind of like do every day. Be flexible. So again, trying to work naturally to whatever works for you, but we do live in a world with other people, so we do sometimes have to be a bit flexible. And then practice productivity tools. And this is what my second part of the talk is going to do. Looking at the time, we're doing great. So once you've kind of like figure out how you naturally work more productively and what comes naturally for you, it's really going to help you avoid burnout, and it's really going to help with that kind of like motivation that we were talking about. It is great when you feel motivated and you get a lot done. But we do know, on the flip side, motivation doesn't always come, and you will have weeks and days where you feel more motivated than others. So discipline. This is when we want to bring discipline in. So even if you figure out your best routine, you wake up early in the morning, have a 3-hour break in the middle of the afternoon, and go to a coffee shop in the evening or a co-working space, you figure out your routine, you're not always going to feel motivated. So 3 really, really easy ways to feel like you're achieving more on these days and to practice discipline is around goal setting, ruthless prioritization, and then productivity tools. So these are more for the days where you don't feel as motivated or in flow or anything like that. And I didn't mention, but please do take breaks. That's very much part of the working intuitively. Listen to your body, listen to your mind, and do take breaks when you need to. Okay, so setting goals. I could generally talk about setting goals for the entire hour and a half, if not longer, for days, because I do really think we've also heard about setting goals. We've all heard about SMART goals. There's nothing truly revolutionary in that. But the revolution and the awakening really does come when you actually put them into practice, because we all know the theory, but we don't always put them into practice. So a really quick and easy way of doing it is to grab a bunch of post-it notes. I've got post-it notes all over the house, and start writing out as many ideas as you have. No silly ideas, no too small ideas, no too big ideas. Just write everything down. And again, this applies to whether you're looking at your business, your career, your personal life, your family life, fitness, anything like that. Write all of them down. And then once you have all of these down, focus on what you can control and measure. So obviously try to have them SMART goals, but focus on what you can control and measure. So I've got an example here around increasing number of followers on Instagram, because I feel like that comes up all the time, but it could be as easy as increasing your revenue, getting fitter, losing weight, even finding a boyfriend if that's what you're looking for, whatever you want, in whatever realm of your life. I want you to focus on the things that you can actually control. So with the example of increasing number of followers, you can't actually wake up one day and say, right, today I'm going to get more followers. Doesn't really work like that. In the same way, it doesn't work like today I'm going to lose weight, or today I'm going to get 5 new clients or change jobs or whatever. So I want you to focus on the things that you can control in order to get that outcome. So that could be posting 5 times on the grid, 2 reels a week, and going live once a week. That could be doing 20 cold calls. That could be going to the gym 5 times a week. You know, the things that you can actually control, because I know this is common sense, and I know some of you might be like, yeah, that's quite basic. But if you really think about the way you set your own goals, are you focusing on the activities that you can control? Or are you focusing more on the outcome? And once you've kind of like set all of these goals, rewritten your post-it notes in a way that is all in control, break it into manageable steps. So with the example before about posting 5 reels a week, then you probably want to work out your content strategy. You want to batch create those reels. You want to schedule them, all of that. If it's around, you know, getting fitter, because I feel like January is quite a month for that, getting fit, getting into fitness, wellness, then write those down into manageable steps, little steps. So, you know, sign up to workout classes every Sunday afternoon, go to the gym 5 times, buy my new pair of workouts, buy new weights because I don't have any. So really like manageable steps. And then once you have all of this, you're probably going to end up with a table full of post-it notes and be like, how on earth am I going to do all of this? Can be quite overwhelming. I want you to prioritize. And this is one of the like biggest tips and the biggest things that I work with my clients, because no, not everything is just as important, and not everything goes at the very top of needs to get done. I think this is one of the things that we most struggle in our lives at the moment, is kind of prioritizing and getting done what needs to get done. And if you are struggling to learn to know what to prioritize, I would always focus on the activities that are truly going to move the needle forward for you. So that would be your business, your personal life, your career, whatever it is, what's actually going to move the needle forward. And learn how to say no, because that is really, really key. And this is a little graph that I use very often whenever I'm trying to prioritize. And you can imagine, again, if you have the post-it notes, you can imagine that your table is this kind of graph. And I want you to plot things about whether they're important and whether they're urgent or not. And when I mean important important to you and your business, not important to others. And if things are very urgent and very important, then of course those should be the ones that you do first. But really, funnily enough, the things that are not as important but seem urgent are the things that we tend to go first. So a very easy example of that is emails. Like, how many of you wake up in the morning, go to your emails, and almost set your emails as your to-do list? You kind of go through that list of things that need to be done, rather than actually looking at your own list. So really be very like clever about what you're doing, how you're spending your time, and making sure that you are tackling those important things. Obviously, if it's not urgent and not important, say no. A really easy example of that is scrolling on Instagram, scrolling through TikToks. We all do that. We all do that very often, and we tell ourselves that we're doing research, so it's all okay. But actually, no, just say no to those tasks. another example could be a Zoom coffee meeting. Like, how many times are you like, yeah, I'm just going to go on this coffee meeting with this person because it's really exciting, but actually, is it moving the needle for your business? Probably not. Is it urgent? No. So why are you prioritizing that? Anything, so going through kind of like the 4 steps. So if it's high urgency and high importance, obviously do it first. If it's not as urgent, but it is important, so a clear example of this is updating your website. If you have a business, like, that's the kind of thing that we always procrastinate and push back because it's not very urgent. We do need to get it done, but we don't see it as urgent, so we don't get it done. So schedule that in your calendar, time block it in, so you do know that you are going to tackle that at some point. If it's urgent but not important, then delegate it if you can. Try and get it away, try to say no, try to just kind of like get away with it because it's not important for you, but it is urgent, so it's probably more important for someone else. And then, of course, if it's not urgent and it's not important, say no very easily, but it's easier said than done, but you do have to be ruthless in that. So really, really look at your to-do list every day. And even if you wanted to look at what you've done in the past, so kind of go through your to-do list and your time schedule for last week and see how you've actually been prioritizing and whether most of your activities have been in the complete first or how many activities have been in the say no bucket, and see how you can kind of rearrange your day in order to kind of like get those done. And just to finish off, we're doing good with time, my favorite productivity tools. So again, if you are going through a stage where you're not as motivated and you need a bit more discipline, here's a few things that you can do in order to really help you get that. So write a daily to-do list every single day. And I know this is really basic, but a lot of times most people don't do it. And make sure that that is prioritized. Instead of having a 3-kilometer long to-do list, which I know we all have, just make sure that you're prioritizing that. What are the 3 key activities that you need to get done that day? And always refer that to-do list to your bigger goals, and make sure that whatever your monthly, quarterly, yearly goals, whatever they are, the ones that we kind of like set already, you're relating to that, to your daily to-do list, so that you make sure that whatever you're doing is actually contributing towards those bigger goals. Practice deep work. There's a brilliant book by Carl Newton around deep work. It's literally called Deep Work, which is really good. It's all about finding your flow state. So your flow state is where you're naturally working and don't even realize you're working. Hours go by, you don't even realize, you forget to drink water, to eat, because you're so focused on that activity. And it's all around time blocking in your calendar. It's kind of like related to the next point, where you go into your calendar and say, Monday afternoon, I'm going to be spent on doing this research, for example. So like a chunky tasks that you need to do, and you're going to spend all that time with no distractions, no emails, nothing like that, practicing deep work. So you kind of like get into this like really flow, very productive state of work. And that is a great book with lots of tips on how to do that there. But it is super, super important, rather than kind of like multitasking, which is what we all do with the 20 tabs open, flicking through emails, WhatsApp, and trying to get the work done. So instead of doing that, practice deep work. Time blocking is the same. So make sure that you're blocking in your calendar, as if they were external meetings, the things that you really need to get done, so you don't end up pushing them back and procrastinating. Setting boundaries, I think, is another really clear and easy way of increasing your productivity. So that could be having strict email time. So there's people that only check emails 3 times a day instead of having their inbox open all day long. It could be saying to your boss, I'm only going to work these hours. These are kind of like my working hours, because I think I'm more productive this way. And of course, it really does depend on your 9 to 5 and your boss, if you do have one, but try to set boundaries around that. Another really good one is getting a work phone. If you don't have one, it should really, really help, because you can switch it off, so when you are taking breaks, you're not looking at that. Another very easy one to do is a Pomodoro method. If you haven't heard about it, is a method that you work in productivity bursts. So you would work for 25 minutes straight, no distractions, no emails, no phone, nothing. Then take a 5-minute break, then another 25-minute working session, then a 5-minute break. And the idea is that you have this I guess, alarm system put on, and you know you can't stop working until you get to that point. And you can go on pomodoromethod.com, I think it is, and it does kind of like does it all for you. You only have to click go and it will like ring every time. And then Sunday prep is by far my favorite, where you prepare for your week ahead on a Sunday instead of not doing it at all or doing it on your Monday morning. So you have your to-do list ready, and your Monday mornings are incredibly productive because you can hit the ground running rather than planning everything then. So really easily just look at your priorities and your goals for that week, give them each day a different goal or a different set of goals, put your calendar meetings in so you know what's coming up, and just spending an hour a week reflecting on your last week and your upcoming week and what goals you want to achieve should really, really help to kind of like keep you focused. And that's the end of my talk. Just really quickly, if you want to learn more, I do have a free guide on working intuitively. It's quite long, but it's completely free on my website. So literally moxieclub.co.uk, free resources, really easily. You can download it for free. And then if you're a female founder, we do have a meetup coming up on the 28th of February, which I know Elena's coming. I'm so excited. So it's a brunch for female founders at Dishoom, my favorite restaurant. And you can get tickets again on my website. But that's everything. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully this has been somewhat eye-opening for you. Again, you can follow me, email me, get more information if you want to. Love to hear from you. And yeah, I'll finish there.
Perfect. There we go. Back to this. Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Jess. I hope that was helpful for everyone. I just wanted to touch on some of the points actually that she's made there. So we're going to do a Q&A at the end, but in terms of just some things you were saying, obviously with not everyone on the call I know is a business owner, for example, but all of the methods that she's talking about, you can 100% apply to different things in your life. Again, like she was saying, so whether that's your fitness or relationships or just your work. For example, if you're in a job 9 to 5, but you get to work from home sometimes, it's so much easier to get distracted, obviously, because you have all of your laptops, your Netflix, your phone, your Instagram, all the distractions possible that are going to be there for you. But if you really want to focus, then that's where you can apply these kinds of methods to them. And as she was talking about with the flow state, like when you're doing something that you really, really enjoy, think about any of those times, whether it's when you're on a bike ride or you're surfing or you're rock climbing or anything like that, you know, or even just on a walk with a friend, maybe. It's kind of harnessing those moments, and it's what I call the your like bounce back blueprint. So I have a client who I work with, my coaching client, who I have a call with every 2 weeks, and I've spoken about it with her, through which your bounce back blueprint is, as Jess was saying at the beginning of the call, like not everyone is going to want to wake up at 5 a.m. That's just not going to be you. You might be a night owl. Your creativity might hit you at the nighttime, or your productivity, like whatever it is. Or you might be a morning person, and so you do it all then. Or when you have a down day, your thing might not be to go for a run because you might actually hate running, but your thing might be just to listen to some good music or something like that. So I think it is all about like your bounce back blueprint is finding really what works for you and trying not to listen to too much of the noise that is constantly put to you on any like social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, through your friends, even TV, on the news, like whatever they say. Like I really truly believe that we all have our own individual way of working, and so these methods that Jess has been talking about, only one of them might work for you, but if that does, really run with that. Because, and I think that that's then where you find your own self and how you work, what you can do, and whether it's for your fitness goals, so you do want to try and start walking more, even just again start with the baby steps, go on 1 walk a week, and then the next week try 2, and the next week try 3, and keep upping it like that, instead of trying to force yourself into doing something 100 miles an hour at 100%, where you then get completely overwhelmed and you suddenly start hating the thing that you're trying to do because it just feels like too much. So 1 step at a time, ease yourself in. And yeah, That's great. So thank you very much, Jess. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I'm really grateful that you are here and supporting this content. If you want more, then make sure to stay tuned over the next few months. But in the meantime, take care of yourself and I'll see you soon.